Where's have they always looked at in the spreadsheet? Okay, so the what I'm gonna do is before I
Yeah.
Clock's a minute too slow.
like they did with
Good morning, everyone. I guess Jason's sick, so we'll get started with the meeting. Flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come before you today asking you to watch over this meeting of our commissioners, be with all our employees as they go about their duties this week, and watch over all the residents of our county. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning, everyone. I guess I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes from last week's meeting as written.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Make a motion, we approve the claims in the amount of $490,169.74.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dates.
You have a total on them and the numbers.
It is, so the numbers are 261 through 279. The net change is a negative $6,365.
365. You want to look at these, Danny?
I'll make a motion that we approve the ad and abates 261 through 279 for a total change of negative $6,365.
I'll second it. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Have we been signing every one of these?
If you want to just sign the top one, that's fine. I go in and type the name in on all of them in the system anyway.
You have anything else?
I've got the reports from sheriff and fire.
Okay, I can read the
Here, so.
sheriff if you want me to. It's, let's see, total farmed out 0, farmed ins 48. 911 calls was 83. Jail contacts 4798. Total calls for service 664. Civil service papers served 8. VIN inspections 9. New cases open 7. Cases closed 13. Vehicle crashes 3. SRO activities 139. Bailiff contacts 223. Livestock out is 8. I guess the daily income out for income housing for inmate housing is $3,421. AMR,
So Nicola, I've got that contact information you asked for,
Agree.
and he actually said he can come next week.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. You good with that?
But there's some information too.
Okay.
Contact him.
I'm good with it.
Okay, so our month to date as of Friday is 2 calls in Blue Mound, 1 transport, 7 calls in Centerville, 3 transports, 23 calls in Lacine, 14 transports, 6 calls in Linn Valley, 4 transports, 13 calls in Mound City, 7 transports, 5 calls in Parker, 3 transports, 21 calls in Pleasanton, 13 transports, 2 calls in Prescott, 2 transports, for a total of 79 calls and 47 transports, and we had 4 flights.
Everything going good with you?
Everything's good with me, yeah.
Danny, you have anything?
I don't.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Randy?
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Hegwald, Linn County Emergency Preparedness and Rural Fire. Sent out the weekly call totals. We had 14 calls this week. Brings our call total for the year up to 146. And just for reference, I ran the numbers last year from January 1st to this date. We were sitting at 92 calls for the year. So we're way ahead of what we were last year, number of calls, 146 versus 92. So that's all I have today, unless you guys have something else.
I don't have it.
I don't have any.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you.
Darren, you have something?
Darren Wilson, Planning and Zoning Director. Good morning, Commissioners. I just got a couple of updates. Last Wednesday, the ad hoc committee met, and Planning and Zoning has decided that they've got enough information to move forward to start making decisions. We meet on April 9th, and they'll start discussing changes and what they want to do with those. You have any questions about that?
I don't really. I mean, it's, you, Danny?
No, you said they're meeting on the 9th to go over everything?
Yeah, to start the process. That meeting starts at 7:00. Also, I had been looking at classes, training classes for planning and zoning to go over what their duties and stuff are as planning and zoning commissioners. The training class that I was looking at is about $2,000. I talked to Mr. Kaup last week that done our zoning regulations. He's going around the state now since he's retired doing classes for planning and zoning. His fee is $2,500 plus mileage approximately. I would like to get permission to hire him and have him come to a class for planning and zoning. The reason why I'd like to use him is because it would be in person and be interactive. They'll be able to ask questions.
What exactly will that class?
So he gave me a rough estimate of about $2,500 plus mileage.
But what will he be given to him? I mean, will he be telling them what their duties are? I mean, will he?
He'll go over duties, ethics, proper way to make findings,
How long will that class be roughly?
3 to 4 hours.
4 hours, so you'll do it some evening or something?
Yes.
You want to wait till Jason gets back to where we'll talk about it? Or?
Yeah, yeah. Wait until Jason gets back, I think, yeah.
Okay.
I did though, yeah.
I've also got 2 construction debris assistants. One is for 13840 West 200 Road, Mound City, for Deborah Samons. The property's in bad shape. They're requesting for 100% fee assistance, and Harry Wisdom is going to do the cleanup on it.
What are they, just buildings or what?
debris around the property, and they talked about tearing the house down.
They just want dump fees
Yeah.
waived? Is that pretty typical of how what our policy says?
Yeah.
They're in
It's
compliance.
nothing out of the ordinary.
I have no issue with it.
I've also got another one if you want to just hear them both. The other one is 212 East Walnut, Blue Mound, for Mindy Jackson. The city says it's in the best interest for the house to be tore down. Same situation, 100% fee assistance for just the dump.
I don't have a problem with it.
I don't either.
I make a motion that, we waive the fees on those two locations that Darren just talked about
Do we
for the dumping fees.
give them like a timeline to get that done? Didn't we change that here a while back?
90 days.
90 days?
Yep.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Darren. Sean? Johnny, whichever one wants to go. I think you both got to come. Johnny's at 9:45, I guess.
Morning, Commissioners. Sean West, Public Works. I have a couple of changes to what I sent out to you, just things that were added on. The first line on the agenda I sent you, we discovered parts or all of that project was in the city, so we won't be covering it. We clarified it. If they have any utility crossings outside the city, they're going to get back with us. So that one we can check off the list. It actually will have to go to the city of Blue Mound. Second, I sent out rock reports to you. Third, we have our mowing recommendations based on the bids that we received. We're recommending Scarecrow be hired for $19,950. That'll need approved, and we'll need a contract drawn up for them for that.
I'm gonna hold off on that until
Until Jason gets back.
Jason gets back.
Isn't that who we had do it last year?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Next would be the fuel bids. We only received one from the same company we had last year, MFA, with dyed diesel at $316.91. Regular diesel be $316.56, unleaded for $276.35.
I'm good with that too. You want to wait on it, or you want to do it, or
Yeah, I think we'll just wait until.
can we wait for the week? Or okay,
And then I've got land leases as well, if you want to hold off on those.
I'd rather wait if we're all three here. If it isn't a problem.
That's not an issue for us. I'm trying to think of the calendar. That'll put us, for the mowing, we'll be able to get that done before it actually starts in. Next thing I had for you, something that again came in late and wasn't on yours. And I'm going to have to ask for that because it's contractual with the state. I'm going to have to ask for 5 minutes legal on it at the end.
Okay, so Burton's not here. He said he could be available by phone if we needed him, but he couldn't make it today.
Okay.
Does it have to be done today or is it?
Includes has to be returned by 4/5. So it's something that we could put off to next week if we had to. We had culverts and the road tractor. I assume you want to hold those to next week?
I would like to, I mean, just so we're all through here, if it's,
Okay.
then the problem.
Then the update on Montgomery and 100, that is the tree project with the ditching that you approved. I went by the other day, the trees are out. The majority of the ditching was done. They were working on one end of the ditching towards the east end of 100 where it was kind of wet. So I don't know if the project was completely finished.
They let us put the dirt back on them or what?
Yes, it was rolled back on the back slope. But I think towards the driveway, it got a little wet. So I don't know whether that's completely done, but I would say more than 90% of the project was complete when I went by it. Would like to go out to advertise for positions for part-time mowers and also advertise a position for a mechanic. And the reason a mechanic, we're using our assistant foreman in the south shop as a mechanic there and would like to have him more available as an operator to take over on days and work with Denny on seeing projects rather than be tied to the shop. We'd like to see what the possibility of getting another mechanic in instead of hiring.
We have an operator job open. That's what-
Yes, I'd rather hire another mechanic and move him out to an operator. This isn't changing anything other than trying to get him more experience out in the field rather than locked down to the shop.
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't. On the mowers thing, you said part-time mowers. Is there any way we can reach out to like the school counselors? I know Pleasanton, from when I was in high school, they had like a work release program. I think it went through like the school counselor. I believe it could be different now, but is there any way to reach out to them and see if they have any kids that would be, you have to be 18?
You have to be 18, and I've actually got one or two that I've already got applications from. I believe they're just finishing up or have finished up parts of the STARS program.
Oh, really?
So
Okay.
I've got referrals from them as
Okay,
well.
Good.
800 and Waddles, this is a project where I believe, and I'm going to get this wrong because I'm not a tree guy, I believe they were cottonwoods. We had two extremely large trees in the right-of-way.
There's more than that, isn't there?
I know two of the large ones were on Wednesday, the power company's coming over and topping them out for us so that we can finish the extraction of the trees and clear the right of way afterwards. So that's between that area at 800 and Waddles. They'll call it into dispatch, but we're going to have some work on Wednesday there and the roadway is going to be limited or shut down in that area.
Good to hear. A lot of people have called me over that over the years.
Also, jumping down, I'd like permission to go out to bid on the Wall Street project to finish that up. As we discussed, we're going to do the patching and repair on 1095, prepping for the project for next year because of the grant cycle. So that leaves us finishing up Wall Street, and I'd like to go ahead and get that out to bid and see what the bids are on finishing that project.
You good with that, Danny?
Yeah, I'm all right with it. Yep.
I'm good with it.
Had a question on the park roof, on the shelter, as to whether or not I need to rebid that or what I need to do with that for clarification.
Me personally, I'm not in favor of putting a roof on it right now, maybe just patching it and getting it through until we get a better plan out there, I guess. I don't think, what was it, 9,000 or 19, or what was it?
Almost 20, I think, wasn't it?
Wasn't it?
I think you're in the ballpark,
Yeah.
from what I recall.
I'm with Danny on that this year. I tell you what, we're spending a lot of money up there and I don't want to, this year patch it back.
Patch it back and, okay. Maintenance is moving furniture in the old district court with the assistance of Public Works this morning after the rain we had yesterday. We took some operators and we moved them over and started moving furniture into one large room and taking some of the furniture out that's going to be leaving the building. The park is taking one of the desks, a few chairs from the old sheriff's department, and basically that'll leave us with an old metal desk and one wooden desk that needs removed from the old court building. With just those two items and the age and condition of those items, I believe it's in our best interest just to haul those off rather than move them and move them again.
I'm good with that.
And aside from Johnny, who's come in about the cost shares, and Al, who'll later be in for the landfill workshop and discussion. That's what I had for you this morning. I'm ready for Johnny, if you are, to discuss the cost share for this year. And
Hold off on Al, wait until,
That'd be better. I mean,
how would you feel about that if we held off on the landfill thing until Jason got back? Would that?
it's not going to, I mean, it's not going to impair anything. It's a long-term project.
we should all
So,
three be involved in it. I mean, talking about it. If
okay,
Maybe reschedule, just let him know before he heads this way or whatever.
I'll get a hold of him and let him know. And then, while we're talking about noxious weeds, there is also, and Randy's still here, we've had discussions in the past about switching vehicles with the fire department. The purpose would be to take our old tanker or sprayer truck, repurpose it to the fire department, and they have an SUV vehicle that we could repurpose to noxious weeds that would allow us to put the bug spray and the chemicals to set a vehicle up to do that instead of taking a spray vehicle and trying to move those chemicals and sprayers around to service these buildings. So unless you need some questions from them, or when they come up, if you'd like to ask about that as well, it is something that I think, Randy can correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're ready to just move the vehicles if that's okay with you guys.
I'm okay with it.
no, I'm good with it.
Okay. Johnny? Sure.
Okay.
Confirm this one. When we get to that.
He's got one here, unless it's the same one.
Thing.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today, I actually also want to go over, the first thing I was going to go over is the 2024 Management Plan. And what this is sent to us by the Kansas Department of Agriculture. It's something that we fill out and send back to them. It's more or less helps the gentleman, Scott Marsh, the weed specialist, keep up with all the counties and where they're at and what they're doing with the noxious weed programs in each county. So I'm just going to hit some of the main points of this. I don't want to read all of it, but we'll start on the first page. I thought some of these points you might be interested in as we go forward, and also the residents that are listening might help them understand a little bit about what our program is and what our goals is for this year. So the first one says specify the goals and priorities of the program for the coming year. Complete annual survey and get an accurate idea of the acreage of each noxious weed species within the county. Continue program to control noxious weeds on county rights-of-way and other county properties. Work with the public in an effort to control, eradicate noxious weed infestations on private lands. In the next box, it says specify the goals and priorities of the program for the next 5 years. Want to control and eradicate the spread of noxious weeds within the county, continue to work with residents in effort to reduce infestations, specifically with cost and effectiveness of treatment in mind. Take advantage of all internal and external resources the county has for the control of noxious weeds and share those resources with the public. Continual education in an effort to become a better resource for the public. And we'll skip over to the second page. If we flip over to there, the middle section there, list your planned integrated weed management goals and procedures with emphasis on noxious weed control on private land, including but not limited to biological control and so forth. Now, the first one, biological control, it says at this time, there are limited biological controls for noxious weeds we have in our county. We continue to be educated and research for any in the future. What biological controls are, just for an explanation, because I didn't have a clue, and I don't know if anyone else does, but usually that's where they introduce an insect into the environment to help control a noxious weed that maybe feeds on those noxious weeds. And like I said, at this time, there's not really anything for our county that applies to. So the next section, chemical controls, want to work with private landowners to determine the proper chemicals recommended by KDA to control and eradicate noxious weeds. Also being available to offer the cost share vouchers to encourage and offset cost of treating private lands for noxious weeds. So that's a very important, that'll be the next thing I'll present to you about the cost shares and how we can help. Cultural controls. We want to work with county landowners on alternatives to control species of noxious weeds. We can encourage and educate on the following: grazing, crop rotation, competitive crop planting, scheduled seasonal burning. And lastly, mechanical control. We want to educate property owners to make sure equipment has been cleaned before moving from known infested areas to other areas, mowing before seeds are produced, burning, cultivating, and digging up and complete removal of noxious weed plants when possible. That'd be if there's a limited amount. You look out in your hayfield and you see just a few musk thistles or something, and you maybe dig those completely up and put them in a bag and burn them or something to get rid of them. And go over to page 3. List the methods you plan to use to encourage compliance and the enforcement actions you take if necessary. We'll handle these concerns and complaints on a case-by-case matter. Engage positively with landowners to work towards solutions by offering advice, cost share info, and other resources to bring issue within compliance. If violation continues and no attempt has been made, legal action can be taken. This will be handled with collaboration with the proper legal departments and within the Kansas state laws and regulations. And I just wanted to comment on that so far I've had very positive outcomes to any, like I get a few through the season residents that will call maybe me, and I've even had Jim bring some to my attention. They had called him and said, hey, I'm treating my property, but next to me, man, they got a bunch of noxious weeds, and could you see about doing something about that? And I've contacted the landowners, and like in one case, the gentleman had just bought the property. He wasn't even aware. He wasn't even from this county, and he was very receptive to help and to suggestions. He took part of the cost share program. So all in all, I've had very positive instances when I have contacted any landowners in our county about taking care of noxious weeds. So I'm happy about that. And lastly there, describe your education outreach plans for the coming year, including training and professional development for yourself and your staff. Carl and I attend all the monthly CWDAK meetings, and what that is so the counties, or excuse me, the state is divided up into districts. We're in the Southeast District. There's about 20 counties. We rotate around each month and have a meeting with other counties, noxious weed directors. And I know Sean has attended, and I think Danny, I'm not sure if I've had you to one yet, Jim. We've only hosted one, but I think you both saw how beneficial it was, especially to me, being that I'm going into my third season. So It's very educational to meet with the other noxious weed directors. We have at least 3 in our district that are 30-plus years noxious weed directors. So they're very helpful to me with educating me and how to handle this and to grow the department and so on. So that's something that I'm very appreciative of and part of my education. We just attended the 86th Annual Kansas Weed Conference. It was February 27th through the 29th. Carl and I earned 13 credits towards our renewal of our commercial applicator license. That's something we'll have to renew at the end of the year, but because we attended this and got those credits, all it'll be is just a formality of paying our renewal. Also want to volunteer to work at 2024 Fourth State Farm Show booth and the Kansas State Fair booth and any other events that help further education of ourselves and county residents. So that pretty much covers the high points of the weed management plan. Unless you guys have any questions for that, I'll just, I can even wait until Jason's back next week and come back and pick that up with all of your signatures. And it's just something that I'll send in to Kansas Department of Agriculture.
I'm good with it.
You just want to wait and do it next week?
And then the next thing I'll present to you is the cost share program. And I just basically on that wanted to go over the paper I give you is the Linn County Voucher Program. This is something that I give out to all of the vendors that partake in this and also to the residents whenever I meet with them and I give them the price list. I'll also give this. This is just a procedure of how the cost share program works. And if you've not taken part in it, then it may sound kind of confusing, but actually it's pretty simple. I'll just read these and you'll see how simple this is. Number 1, the county weed director will issue triplicate vouchers to landowner applicator before the chemicals are purchased from the retailer. That's very important. We want to meet with you. There was a period of time whenever we had an on-off director in the county. And at that time, maybe the cost share program just got pushed off to an administrative person, wasn't sure how to run the program. So they were sending them to the vendor first and then coming back. Well, if it's done that way, then we're not in control of it. So we want to meet with them first. And also technically by Kansas statutes, we're to actually determine that the landowner actually does have noxious weeds and that they're going to use the chemicals in the proper way to control these noxious weeds. So that's why they come to us first and not the vendor. The landowner applicator will take the voucher to a retailer and use it to obtain a discount on the chemicals described on the voucher that he is purchasing. The retailer will keep the yellow copy of the voucher. So basically, when I write up a voucher and give to the resident, it's just like using a coupon at Walmart. It's that simple. They'll take it to the vendor and they're going to give the voucher to them. Our vendors have already caught on to this program and they know how to use it. We go on to the next one. The retailer must sign the yellow copy of the voucher in order to be paid. The retailer will write up an invoice showing the credit amount of the voucher. The retailer will send the yellow copy of the voucher and a copy of the invoice to our email, or they can mail it to here at the annex, and Joyce processes those. And then the vouchers and invoices will be turned over to the Board of County Commissioners for approval, and the dollar amount on the voucher will be paid back to the retailer. Checks will be mailed to the retailers at the county's next regular payable cycle. So that's what you guys take care of at the beginning of each meeting. If the landowner applicator does not use the official control methods in applying the chemicals, or he applies the cost share voucher chemical to a non-noxious weed, the Board of County Commissioners may refuse to pay the voucher and the total cost will be paid by the landowner. Basically, this is just something to protect us, that if we do see somebody that was taking advantage of this program, that we could not pay for their vouchers. There's also a list of the approved chemical retailers there, and it mentions at the bottom, if the purchaser wishes to use a voucher issued by Linn County at a retailer other than those listed above, the retailer must call the Public Works Office. And the reason for this is we're not telling them what vendors they have to use, but if they use a vendor outside of this, they have to go through the procedure of getting listed as a vendor that's approved for the county to be paid. So they got to call Joyce and go through that. And lastly, you'll see the Linn County cost share price list for 2024, and how that is compiled is I call all the vendors and I get the prices locally and updated and average those, and then we take the Kansas statute recommended 20 to 22% off, and then I round it to the nearest dollar to make it easier. And so the last thing on the cost share program is David has a resolution there for you guys to, and again, if you want to wait till next week, there's no big rush on it, or you can pass that now.
Good, I don't have a problem with you, Danny, signing this.
Basically, the resolution is to put a cap on it, and the $30,000 cap is what we already have budgeted. And I know last year we were very successful with it, and toward the end of the year, we did go a little bit over with you all's permission. We came to you and said, we got some late season people that want to treat for Cerricia Lespedeza, and we're going to be a few $100s over, and you guys approved us to go over. So if we ran into something like that again, we can adjust it, but that's the budgeted amount that's on that resolution.
I'm okay with it.
I'll make a motion for Resolution 2024-11 for declaration of the 2024 noxious weed cost share program cap. Be it resolved that the cap of $30,000 put on the noxious weed cost share program for the 2024 calendar year.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. The last couple of things I have for you is I did want to take a second to thank Barbara Prophet and the Linn County News. She came by and visited with me last week, and she put a nice little article in the ag section of the paper that I felt was very informative to residents to read, and I encourage anybody that hasn't seen it to take a look at that. And they also got our, we are obligated to put a legal notice in the paper every year about noxious weeds, that landowners are responsible for those. So she got that taken care of for me. And I did want to mention just, I know you guys already said it was okay, but just to give you my part of the vehicle swap. So that truck is something that I haven't used for 2 years. We don't really have a need for 2 trucks. The fire department can put it to very good use. They're going to have a second brush fire truck. As far as the SUV for us, it's going to be very beneficial because, to be honest, we weren't even obeying state statutes properly with our pest control structural spraying by having our insecticides outside of a closed vehicle. What the statutes recommend is that you have it in a truck with a camper or an SUV or a van. As you've seen, all bug guys always have vans and stuff. And there's safety reasons for that. What we also ran into was later in the year, something I hadn't even thought of when we took this over. When it got to wintertime and we were transporting our tanks outside the truck, they were freezing on the way to use the sprayer. So it'll be very beneficial to set that SUV up as a full-time structural pest control spraying vehicle. And also it's beneficial to us to use for traveling too. We won't have to subject our spray truck to possible damage or vandalism. Like when we traveled out of town, my truck sit in a hotel parking lot for a week, for several days. It could be vandalized or ran into or whatever. So this way, I think it's very beneficial. Less miles on our spray truck. We can use it for those educational trips and so on. So just to give you kind of a follow-up. And the very last thing I wanted to mention, this is something I talked to Sean about. I just wanted to kind of keep you all in the loop in case you were asked about it. You've already known. But one of the things that I wanted to try and do this year, every year I'm still kind of learning and changing, making little changes and tweaks to the department. And one thing that I found, my first year that I did it, if people don't know, there's a whole lot of clerical, bookwork, administrative, you want to call it, logging of your spraying, both for the cost shares, both for the spraying we do, inventorying all the chemicals, what you use. We're actually subject to an audit at any time by Kansas Department of Agriculture. So you're supposed to have all of that paperwork up to date and current. And my first year, I was kind of encouraged, hey, look, this is your first year. You've done a lot of certification. This is kind of overwhelming. We're not that worried about it this first year. Just get out and get sprayed, learn to do that. The second year, I kind of felt like I'll save all that till the off season. And what I found was that was a lot to do all at one time. So because of that, what I would like to try and do is start a practice of spraying until 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I'd get back to the office. And my assistant Carl, once we get back, we'll get the truck ready for the morning, leaving in the morning, like refilling it and so on, checking our engine and stuff. And that's the time I would take to do some of that administrative work. So we were thinking working 4 10s, either Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday or Tuesday through Friday would be our, because of the 10-hour days each day, I don't want to run into overtime. So it would be 4 10s possibly once we get into the spraying season. So just wanted to make you aware of that in case somebody asked you, where are they on Friday, or I didn't see them out, or I seen the truck sitting or whatever, you know why we were off. So just to kind of keep you in the loop.
If we do that, we sure want to make sure that everybody knows on the cost share program.
Yes, and the cost share program, and that's a good point, Jim. I always, anybody that calls, if I was needed to come in on a Friday to help a resident with cost share, I certainly could. I could make that adjustment, so that's not a problem. And that's one thing I found in the cost share program. The first year, especially to help me out, they had somebody here at the annex that was doing it. And so they just funneled everybody, said, hey, you want a cost share, go to the annex, the guys are out spraying. Well, that person was no longer with us in my second season, so they said, you're going to have to do it. So while we were out spraying, if I get a call, whether they come in here and Joyce has them call me, or they just call direct to my cell phone. I was meeting people wherever. I've met at homes, I've met at their place of business if it's within the county, I've met at restaurants, wherever. And actually, I think that's what helped it be very successful last year was I made myself very available to everybody. Wherever, when they call, I was like, where do you want to meet and when? And we just made it available. So in fact, some of them, if they worked jobs that were later than we worked, I would get all their information, fill it out, and leave it with the vendor. And then they could go when they pick their chemicals up, and it was already ready to go. And the vendor gave me the proper paperwork back. So, but that's a good point, Jim, that we want to make ourselves available all the time. So if, like I said, if something Friday or a Monday that I had scheduled to be off, that they needed to meet me, I would just adjust my schedule and be there for them anytime. Do you have any other questions?
How do you deal with like off-road spraying? Because you don't have like a side-by-side or anything like that, do you?
No, that's a good point. That's something I did want to talk about. You know, you guys gave us permission to at least start going out for bids for that. And I'll just give you an illustration that we had last year that makes a good point of why that's needed. We had a resident on Tucker Road that came to us and said, hey, you know, wasn't even complaining, but said, actually offering, and said, listen, I sprayed my pasture for that teasel that's all over that hillside there. Just wondering what you can do to get, you know, that taken care of. Cause it's probably 40, 50 feet from the road down this hill. It's the overpass that goes over the railroad tracks on Tucker. And the teasel was really bad and it was creeping over on his stuff. And he said, I'll tell you what, he said, I said, I really can't do a lot other than string my hose and kind of rainbow it out there. And it was hard to get to. And he said, I'll tell you what, he said, I've got a side-by-side that I spray with. If you guys provide the chemical, he said, we can use my side-by-side and we'll get it taken care of. We'll just go on that hill with my side-by-side. And so we spent a day with him out there getting that taken care of. But that was a good illustration of that's some equipment that we need. And I know visiting with my other noxious weed departments at these county meetings, majority of them all have at least one in their arsenal of things to spray with. I know like out at the county park, we got a sericea problem real bad, but it's nowhere that we could take the truck. I mean, the only way to attack it would be if you got a bunch of volunteers with backpack sprayers and walked around spraying with backpack sprayers or something. But with a side-by-side, you could get in there around trees and so on and do it. So that's something we definitely have planned in our future.
I like the backpack idea, wellness program.
What's that?
Or health wellness with the backpack.
Yeah, you'd volunteer for that, right?
You need this management plan signed then too? Do we need to make?
If you want to sign it today, you should have a motion to approve and sign.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We approve and sign the 2024 management plan for the Linn County Weed Director.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anything else for me, gentlemen?
Nope. Thank you and Carl for what you guys do. I know that since I got here, this thing has been we'll just say it's lined out. So thank you. It's doing well.
Well, I'll be honest, a big part of my success has been the support that I've gotten from my supervisor and from you as commissioners, and also the residents actually have supported me really well. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny.
You'll stick around while I go get David copies of that stuff.
Yeah, so the resolution here too, if you want
Okay.
that while we're at it.
You know, back there's just a copy of it.
Commissioners, I'd like to qualify one thing that Johnny spoke about in the 10-hour days. He brought this to me, and it was something that he believed would benefit the program. And I've got full faith and confidence in him that he's going to adjust schedules and work with holidays and folks that need him to meet whenever. But one of the biggest things that I saw as a plus when they come in and fill these trucks and do that paperwork, if you fill that truck and do your paperwork 5 nights a week, you lose 1 hour each evening from that work schedule, 1 to 2. So adding that up over the month, you're potentially gaining anywhere from 4 to 8 hours by cutting it down to just 4 service days and spending more spraying time. So you're going to gain spray time, and we're going to track that with Johnny's help and his and Carl's. We see it as a potential benefit to gain more hours actually in the vehicle as opposed to doing maintenance each and every night to prep the vehicle for the next service day. So I just wanted to put that out there that we'll be tracking the hours and the benefit to the program, because I think the way Johnny manages things, that we're going to get more time in the rig as opposed to doing maintenance and paperwork.
I remember here a few years ago, it was brought up that the fill sites around the county, we were coming back from we'd come all the way from Centerville back there to fill up. Do we got that all taken care of? We have special fill sites nowadays, don't we?
Yeah, I actually, when I'm on the west side of the county, I go over to the Parker fire station, and there's a hose there that I can use, and so I don't have to. I know when I started, there was a bunch of paperwork and so on about doing it with the city municipalities and stuff, with fire hydrants and stuff, but that wasn't something that worked out well.
So you
When I'm
gotta,
on the west side, I just fill up with Parker, and that usually takes care of that.
gotcha.
That's all I had, Commissioners.
Thank you. Jessica, you got anything? Okay.
Let's see, you haven't done a public comment yet, and I could probably use a little bit of personnel executive session. I don't know if you guys have anything else today or not.
How much you need?
Oh, maybe 10 minutes would be fine for what I've got.
Chanel. 10 minutes.
Somebody had, that 5-minute legal with Sean, can we do that or no?
Not without an attorney, but I think he said he'd be okay to wait till.
Oh, did he? Okay.
On it too.
Do we have any public comment? You guys making it easy on us today.
Hey, we can get up.
No, we closed it.
Well, I'll tell you public comment then. What, I guess we can go into executive session for 10 minutes. Personnel with David, and we'll return at, what is it,
It'll be 9:58 by my computer time.
9:58. That's my motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you.
No action from executive session. Is there anything else? Anybody got anything?
Don't have anything.
I guess maybe just a little reminder while we're in here and on camera, the canvas is Wednesday at 9, so we'll do that right here. Should be a real short process. There's no write-ins on this election. It was a low turnout, so I don't think it'll take us long to get through that one.
Okay, so we'll be back here at 9 o'clock Wednesday morning.
Nine o'clock.
Just, I guess, for information for you guys or anybody watching, if you look at the total registered voters we had in the county, which could not have all voted in this anyway, because it was just the two major parties, our turnout was 7.82%. And if you just look at Republican and Democratic voters, I believe it was 10.62% of those people voted. So it was very, very low turnout.
What's a typical? I mean, what's a big one?
Oh, a big one will get up around 50% probably later this year, and maybe even beat that a little in a presidential. Typically on city school elections are our small ones in the odd numbered years, but even for them, we'll usually get closer to 20. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a turnout this low.
I
Got
don't.
anything else, Danny?
I don't have anything else.
If anybody don't have anything, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.